We'll see where it goes.
Sorry, there's no snow.
No, that's okay. We have a bunch back home, so you're good. Ethan told me it's going to be Isaac, Kaylin, Mariah, him, obviously, and then
Teegan Nichols didn't walk into the welcome to Plathville universe the way most reality TV love interests do. She didn't arrive with a manufactured backstory or producer-scripted chemistry. She came in as a real person with a real life. A single mom. Someone who had already weathered whatever storms life had thrown at her before a camera ever pointed in her direction. Ethan Plath, the eldest son of the notoriously strict, deeply conservative Plath family, had just come out of a divorce from Olivia Plath after a marriage that unraveled painfully across multiple seasons of reality television. He was emotionally raw, searching, and somewhere in the noise of his post-divorce life, he found Teegan on Instagram. The story, as he told it himself during her debut episode in September 2025, is almost disarmingly sweet. He posted a picture of his motorcycle. Teegan commented something like, "Nice motorcycle." He clicked on her profile. And as Ethan put it, with that particular brand of understated charm he's always had, I looked at her profile and I was like, oh dang. It is a very nice motorcycle. Teegan, for her part, admitted she was already interested. She wasn't passive about it. And so it began. By January 2025, Ethan had gone public, posting a photo of the two of them with a caption calling her one of the sweetest, kindest, and most patient people he had ever known. It felt real. It felt hopeful. Fans, exhausted by the emotional wreckage of the Ethan-Olivia saga, were genuinely rooting for them. But something changed. Here's where the timeline gets murky and where the Welcome to Plathville fanbase starts dividing into camps. By the time Season 8 premiered, there were already whispers. Ethan and Teegan had apparently parted ways before filming even concluded, though the show, airing months behind real-life events, as reality TV always does, was still playing out their relationship in real time on screen. Ethan told producers plainly, she had grown tired of the long distance. He knew it was coming. He said he understood. But then he got in his car and drove to find her anyway. That detail, Ethan making that long drive to win her back, hit the fanbase hard. For a man who grew up in near total isolation, sheltered from the outside world by parents with extraordinarily rigid beliefs, learning to pursue someone like that represented real growth, real effort. And watching it fail on screen made it sting. What the show doesn't, and perhaps can't, fully address are the rumors that circulated heavily on Reddit. Sources in online fan communities suggested there may have been a betrayal involved. Allegations, unverified and not confirmed by either party, pointed towards some kind of infidelity on Ethan's part, potentially involving someone close to Teegan. Neither Ethan nor Teegan has publicly addressed or confirmed these claims. What is confirmed is this. By the time those Montana trip episodes aired, with Ethan, Teegan, Mariah, and others all navigating the awkwardness of a post-breakup group dynamic, the relationship was over in every way that mattered. And Teegan had already begun a new chapter. One that she wasn't quite ready to fully share with the world. Until May 20th, the post went up on a Tuesday. 20 images. Most of them were family photos, a trip to New York City, what appeared to be a college graduation celebration. Ordinary, warm, the kind of content that doesn't typically send a fandom into a frenzy. But 5 of those images were different. In one, a man stood behind Teegan, arms wrapped around her. In another, she had her arms draped over his shoulders. No face visible. No name mentioned. Not a single word in the caption identifying who this person was. And yet the comments section erupted. Fans split almost immediately into 2 distinct voices. One camp was furious, arguing that Teegan, while technically free to date whomever she chose, should have made her intentions clearer to Ethan before going public with someone new while Season 8 was still actively airing their breakup. "I do think you should have told Ethan you were completely done," one follower wrote. It was so obvious. The other camp pushed back just as hard. "Happiness looks good on you. Glad you prioritized you and kept moving forward." And perhaps the most clear-eyed response of all, y'all do realize the show is months behind real life. When you break up, you're allowed to move on. That's the tension reality television creates and almost never resolves. The gap between when events actually happen and when audiences experience them. Viewers feel ownership over relationships they've watched unfold. They form attachments. They project. And when the story moves on without them, it feels like a betrayal, even when it isn't. But none of that answered the question that was burning through every comment, every DM, every Reddit thread. Who is he? The answer didn't take long. Internet sleuths, and the Welcome to Plathville fandom has some particularly thorough ones, began cross-referencing Teegan's follower lists, her following accounts, and the photographic clues embedded in those 5 images. Location tags, background details, the angle of a shadow, and they landed on a name, Shawn Forlenza. Site index equals 2-1, a 26-year-old former collegiate baseball player, originally from Spring Valley, New York, where he was a standout pitcher and first baseman for the East Ramapo Titans/site. When that name started circulating, researchers started digging, and what they found was not what anyone expected. Let's set the scene properly, because Shawn Forlenza is not a simple story. He grew up in Spring Valley, New York, a community in Rockland County about 30 miles north of Manhattan. And from the very beginning, he was the kind of person that defies easy categorization. The athlete who was also the scholar. The competitor who was also the intellectual. Site index equals 11-1. He was the salutatorian from Ramapo High School in the class of 2018, serving as president of the school's Science Honor Society, one of 6 honor societies he was a member of/site. Think about that for a moment. 6 honor societies. Not 1. 6. And he was leading one of them. On the baseball field, he was a left-handed pitcher and first baseman with genuine college-level talent. Site index equals 17-1. Scouting reports described him as having a large frame with long limbs and a lean, athletic build, a frame that projected for additional size and strength/site. He threw with balance, utilized his lower half well, and consistently attacked the strike zone. Even at the high school level, scouts took notice. Site index equals 11-1. After high school, Shawn attended Florida Southern College in Lakeland, Florida, where he played baseball and appears to have graduated with his bachelor's degree in 2022. He continued to play baseball and pursue a graduate degree through the 2023 to 2024 season/site. Site index equals 13-1. His position evolved over his college career, pitching and playing the outfield in his earlier years before transitioning to a left-handed pitching focus as a graduate student/site. His LinkedIn profile, according to reports, lists him as studying statistical data analysis, which, when you pair it with the Science Honor Society presidency and the salutatorian distinction, paints a picture of someone who never stopped pushing himself academically even as he pursued athletics at a high level. In other words, Shawn Forlenza isn't some fleeting rebound. He appears to be someone with genuine substance. Here's where the story gets chaotic. The Welcome to Plathville fanbase, already fragmented by Season 8's ongoing emotional turbulence, Kim Plath's shocking lifestyle reversal, Lydia's family drama, Micah's girlfriend controversies, didn't exactly greet the news of Teegan's new relationship with universal warmth. Some fans felt genuinely blindsided. They had watched Ethan pour himself into trying to fix things with Teegan. They had seen him on that Montana trip, navigating the awkwardness, clearly still hoping. And now, before the season had even finished airing, she was on Instagram wrapped up with someone new. That ruined the season, one viewer declared flatly. Others were far less sympathetic to Ethan. The unverified rumors about his alleged behavior during the relationship, the whispers about betrayal, about someone close to Teegan being involved, had colored how some fans viewed the entire arc. For them, Teegan moving on wasn't a betrayal of Ethan. It was a survival instinct. TikTok picked up the story almost immediately. Short clips dissecting the Instagram carousel, zooming into the 5 photos with the mystery man, overlaying dramatic audio. YouTube commentary channels ran with it. Reddit threads debating the timeline stretched into hundreds of comments. And through all of it, Teegan said nothing. She didn't clarify. She didn't explain. She let the photos speak, and she let the internet argue. There's a quiet confidence in that pause for a second. Step back from the drama. Because beneath all of it, the fan wars, the Instagram forensics, the Reddit theories, there are actual human beings navigating something genuinely difficult. Ethan Plath grew up in a world of extraordinary restriction. His childhood, documented across multiple seasons of television, was defined by isolation, from music, from sugar, from the outside world in general. His first real adult relationship with Olivia played out under cameras and collapsed under the weight of incompatible values and public pressure. Then came Teegan, and for a while, at least on screen, it seemed like he might be finding solid ground. Losing that, whether through his own actions or simply through the natural entropy of a long-distance relationship, is not a small thing. For someone still learning what healthy partnership even looks like, these setbacks carry weight that most people watching from the outside may not fully appreciate. And Teegan, she came into this as a single mom. She had a life already in motion before reality television. She chose to let cameras into that life, and then she chose to walk away from a situation that wasn't working, and then she chose to move forward. Without announcement. Without explanation. On her own timeline. That takes a certain kind of quiet strength. And whoever Shawn Forlenza is to her right now, whether this is something new and still uncertain, or something already deepening, the fact that she appears happy matters more than any narrative the internet wants to build around it. Here's what's unresolved. Season 8 of Welcome to Plathville is still airing, which means audiences are watching Ethan and Teegan's relationship unfold in real time on their screens while, in reality, both of them are already months past those moments. It's a strange kind of temporal dissonance that reality TV creates and rarely acknowledges, viewers grieving a loss that the people involved have already processed and moved through. For Ethan, the question isn't just about Teegan anymore. It's about who he is becoming. A man who grew up behind walls, now living in a world with none of them, navigating his own identity, his family's complicated legacy, and the very public nature of a life documented on cable television. What comes next for him, romantically and personally, remains genuinely unknown. For Teegan, the trajectory looks different. She's building something new on her own terms with someone who, by every public measure available, appears to be thoughtful, accomplished, and genuinely invested. Whether Shawn Forlenza remains in her life long-term, or whether this is simply the first page of a new chapter, she's the one deciding how the story reads. And maybe that's the most important thing she could possibly be doing right now. There's something almost poetic about the way this played out. A woman who entered one man's world quietly, through a comment about a motorcycle, leaves that world just as quietly, through 20 photos and a caption that never mentions his name. No dramatic declaration. No goodbye speech for the cameras. Before Welcome to Plathville became one of TLC's most talked about family reality shows, Ethan Plath was known as the oldest Plath child trying to navigate a world completely different from the strict environment he grew up in. His journey was never only about romance. It was about independence, about discovering adulthood, about learning how to make choices without the influence of the family system that shaped him. When Ethan married Olivia, viewers watched two people who seemed determined to create their own path. But over time, their relationship became one of the most emotional storylines on the show. The disagreements weren't only about everyday marriage problems. They represented something much bigger. Tradition versus change. Family expectations versus personal freedom. The person you were raised to be versus the person you are becoming. Eventually, Ethan and Olivia's relationship reached a breaking point, and fans watched the emotional fallout play out publicly. But after that chapter ended, many viewers became curious about what came next. And that is where Teegan Nichols entered the conversation. Unlike the main Plath family members, Teegan Nichols was never a major central figure on the show. Much of the public interest around her comes from her connection to Ethan before his marriage. Reports and fan discussions have described Teegan as someone from Ethan's earlier life, but many details about their relationship remain private. That privacy is part of why curiosity grew. Reality television creates a strange effect. Fans feel like they know someone because they have watched their life unfold. But outside the cameras, there are still entire chapters viewers never see. And Teegan's story is one of those hidden chapters. Now, the biggest question circulating among some fans is Teegan Nichols dating Shawn Forlenza? Online discussions have connected the two names, but a public confirmation from Teegan herself has not been widely established. That means fans are left trying to separate fact from speculation. And that is where reality television culture becomes complicated. A single image, a social media interaction, a public appearance. Any small clue can become a major conversation. Some fans believe Teegan has simply moved forward and created a new life away from the drama surrounding the Plath family. Others are fascinated because her connection to Ethan makes people look back at his journey and wonder how different things might have been. The reason this story attracts attention is not just about dating. It represents something reality TV audiences constantly search for. The what-if story. What if Ethan's life had taken a different direction? What if certain relationships happened at a different time? What if people from someone's past returned to public attention years later? Reality television creates emotional timelines. Fans remember the old chapters. They remember the struggles. They remember the people who were there before the fame. And when someone from that past appears again, curiosity naturally follows. Online reactions have been mixed. Some fans are simply curious and supportive, saying that everyone deserves the chance to move forward and create happiness away from public pressure. Others analyze every detail, trying to understand how this connects to Ethan's past. This is one of the biggest changes in modern reality television. The show may end. The season may finish. But the audience continues the conversation online. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube commentary, and fan communities keep these stories alive long after episodes air. The viewers become investigators. The smallest details become clues. And every new update creates another wave of discussion. Behind the headlines is something much more ordinary. People changing. People growing. People leaving old versions of themselves behind. For Ethan, his journey has been about finding independence after a lifetime of expectations. For Teegan, if she has moved into a new chapter, that journey appears to be happening away from the spotlight. And maybe that is why fans are so interested. Because behind every reality TV storyline are real people trying to figure out life after the cameras stop recording. The future of this story depends on what becomes public. Will Teegan Nichols speak more openly about her life? Will fans learn more about Shawn Forlenza? Will Ethan's next chapter become another major storyline on Welcome to Plathville? Right now, many questions remain unanswered. And in the world of reality television, unanswered questions are often what keep people watching. The most interesting reality TV stories are not always about the biggest arguments. Sometimes they are about the quiet moments after everything changes. A person leaves one chapter behind. Someone new enters the picture. And suddenly, fans start looking back at the story they thought they already understood. Maybe Teegan Nichols' next chapter is not about Ethan Plath at all. Maybe it is about discovering who she is when she is no longer connected to someone else's story. But the question remains, when the cameras are gone and the audience finally stops watching, who do these reality stars become? Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think Teegan Nichols' story deserves more attention, or should this chapter stay private?